All right, guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're going to be looking at a top 15 perennial matchup in the SEC West between Auburn and Texas A&M. Aggies will be hosting the Tigers as 4.5-point favorites. Over/under set at 49. Auburn leads the all-time series 6-5. A&M won last year, but 3 of the last 4, the 3 before that was won by the Tigers. Typically this has been a pretty good series. I've enjoyed watching, and again, we're going to see another great game on Saturday, so let's jump right into it. Looking at this Auburn offense, Bo Nix has been very good this season with coordinator Mike Bobo. He's been making good plays with his legs. Outside of the pocket, you see he's made that a really big dimension of his game. Sometimes he might do it a little too often, but I respect the effort. I respect that's better than just running backwards and taking a sack or just blatantly throwing it in the coverage. So I think he's been making better decisions this year. I love the talent Nix has, not so much the player. I've been very critical of Nix in his career. This year he's stepping it up a bit. You've seen it against Penn State. Over the entire year, really, you've seen significant improvements. Still has negative tendencies at times, but not to the same degree. 240 yards per game total for Nix, 13 total touchdowns as well, only 2 picks. Coming in the year, we didn't know who was going to step up at receiver. They lost their top 3. They've had a variety of different guys that they're getting the ball to. 4 different guys evenly seem to get the football, around 3 receptions per game. Kobe Ware Hudson, he's athletic, shifty in space, and Demetrius Robinson. Those are the standouts. Robinson, all-around playmaker. You'll see him on special teams. Occasionally he'll get a handoff. The beef of this football team, though, is up front. 3 guys are 335 pounds plus. Broderius Hamm, right tackle. I think he's the best lineman for the Tigers. They have this great running back duo of Jarquez Hunter and Tank Bigsby. These guys just are incredible at fighting for extra yards. They've done that phenomenally this year because the offensive line, despite how big and good they've been this year, especially in pass protection, they're not getting a great push up front. It's not eye-popping by any means, like a Georgia or anything like that. So they've been good, not great. So because they don't give up plays in the backfield, so the running backs have had to do a lot of work, just under 200 yards per game from those guys. Overall, this offense has been making some good strides, 35 points per game. They've had some good balance. Nice playmaking. I really like what they have. I think a big test here for Nix to go on the road. And the duo of running backs they have, it's comparable to the ones A&M has. We'll go ahead and shift to the Aggies. Zach Calzada, he shined versus Alabama when the lights were the brightest. Not so much since or before that either. So Calzada, he was great against Alabama. Hasn't played very well in the 2 games since against Missouri or South Carolina. This A&M offense, they just do not make big passing plays whatsoever. 110th in FBS, dead last in the SEC in 30-plus passing plays. Same goes for 20-plus. They're next to last in the conference in that. Downfield passing is just a big problem for them. Outside of Anais Smith and Jalen Weidermeyer, no one else is getting involved. Caleb Chapman, Chase Lane, Desmond Demas, they're not really getting them involved like you would figure they would. The last 4 games, though, they've really gotten the running game going a bit. Haven't been great. They haven't been bad, though. 180 yards per game. It seems like they're quietly kind of better than last year. 5.3 yards per carry. They're not getting 50 carries per game by any means, which they probably should. That's the style of offense you kind of seen last year. They had, I think, 2 more carries per game last year than this year, so they're never churning it out 3 downs on the ground like they're kind of built to. Because they didn't do that, like I just said, they didn't do that last year, but that's how they won their games. Ran up very well, played tough defense. Their winning margin wasn't great because that's what their style of offense was. They didn't hit 100 yards versus Bama, but they have made both. In that game, they made good plays in both facets. Calzada was great. The running game, though, that's their bread and butter. They're going to want to do it here. Pretty good effort from the offensive line this year. They returned only 1 starter. I think it was just 1 starter, Kenyon Green. He's been really good. He's going to be a top 10 pick in April's draft. On that left side with him, Jameer Johnson at tackle. I like that part of their trenches. Those 2 on the left side, very good. Third down percentage has not been good. Only over 40% in 1 game since the opener against Kent State. It was a high number, but since then only over 40 once. I think it was last week. Was it last week? Against South Carolina. So they have not been, a very consistent offense. Their running backs do a lot of the heavy lifting as pass catchers do. Devin Chain and Isaiah Spiller. So this A&M offense, it seems like they're kind of questionable week to week because if they can't get their run game going, what are they going to do with Calzada? He needs to play with more confidence like he did against the Tide. Let it rip. You only seen it once, though. It seems like it's kind of rare. But if he did it against the Tide, he can do it against anybody else. The Auburn defense, they've been a bend but don't break kind of unit. Ole Miss, they had 8 red zone trips. They only scored 4 times. It's a red zone defense overall for the year. 50% touchdown rate. That's top 25 in FBS. That's really good. They've allowed 400-plus yards over the last 3 games. But I think they've been playing very well. And this pass rush is pretty deep. EQ, Leota, Derek Hall, Kobe Wooten. I like what they have coming off the edge. This team has had 3 sacks in 4 of the last 5 games. So they don't overwhelm you with pass rushing, on the stat sheet that is. But they are very capable of hurting you on the outside, on the inside too. They got pretty good depth. Very big fan of this Auburn pass rush. You look at the linebackers. Kobe McLean, 4th in FBS in the conference, that is, in tackles right now. He led the nation last year. He's a perennial playmaker. The secondary, they've played very well. They don't give up many big plays at all. Over the past 3 weeks, though, they've gotten beat a couple of times. Positioning is ideal, though. They're not getting blown coverages or anything. Ole Miss, they kind of had their hands full a little bit against that vertical passing game. Georgia got behind him on a deep route or two. Treylon Burks, his hands was such tough to defend for Auburn in that game. Sticky coverage, as good as you can get. Just a better play by Burks. So they haven't been bad by any means. Roger McCreary, one of the best covermans in the conference. Smoke Monday at safety. Naheem Pritchard, too. He's been playing very good in the slot. So this is a very capable secondary. And they're playing a passing attack that doesn't do much downfield, so they have a big edge, you would seem to figure. It's going to allow them to dedicate some more bodies to the run. Auburn defense, I think they really could have the Aggies' number in this contest. Texas A&M, though, they're going to fire back on defense in their own right. You want to talk about a defense that doesn't allow big pass plays? The Aggies. They don't at all. They're, I think, 3rd in FBS in the same category, 30-plus passing plays allowed. 5 picks in the last 3 games. They've been making some plays. Leon O'Neal, one of the standouts. Soft zone really hurt him. You've seen it against Bama, against Mississippi State. They don't give up big plays, but underneath they're just not very polished. Slants, curls, just getting beat on those shorter routes. And tackling in space has kind of been an issue. Aaron Hansford at linebacker, one of those recipients of bad tackling. He's very good, though. He's an outstanding linebacker. He does a lot for them. But you're going to have to wrap up. You're going to have to make tackles against these tough, athletic playmakers the Tigers have. They were very sharp versus the run in October, though. They like to call them the wrecking crew up front. DeMarvin Leal, Michael Clemens, Tyree Johnson. He's their best pass rusher. And then Jaden Peavy. I just raved about the Tigers' depth. Well, the Aggies probably have it a little bit better. The Auburn Tigers do match up pretty well with size. You're going to have to win the battle in the trenches, though. It's going to be up to who can do that. You'll get to my prediction here shortly, and you'll see who I think does that. But it's going to be an all-out war for 60 minutes in the trenches. That's where the Aggies can really overwhelm you. Looking at team comparisons, I give the edge at quarterback to Auburn. Calzada, he had that great game against Bama. Haven't seen it anywhere else this year. Bo Nix, he's made great improvements. And although he gets a lot of people knock him, including myself, he does a lot of good things for this football team. That's why he's still here. That's why he's still the starter. I'll give them the edge. At running back, both of them have great duos. I'll give A&M the slight edge because A-Chain and Spiller, they're just better pass catchers. They get more done out in the backfield. Of course, A&M leans on them a little bit more. I'm sure the guys at Auburn and Hunter and Bigsby are very capable pass catchers, but right now, A&M, they get a lot of those guys. So you've seen it with A-Chain caught the game winner against Colorado. So the Aggies get the slight edge. Both of them, though, probably the best duos in college football. Receiver, Auburn's got the edge. They have 4 guys that have really stepped up. They're really distributing it well. And Jalen Werdemeyer, he's the nation's top tight end, or at least one of them. But, talent-wise, A&M probably has the edge, but they're just not getting a lot out of the receivers. Anais Smith, phenomenal playmaker. But I just said a minute ago how the running backs have had to get involved a good bit. They're not getting guys like Lane, Chapman, Demas. They're just not getting them involved. So right now, Auburn, they have the edge at receiver. Offensive line, pretty even. I just talked about the size for the Tigers. The Aggies, though, they have that strong left side. They're getting good play. Freshman center, Bryce Foster. Pretty even. I don't really think any team has an edge in the trenches. Both have been playing very well. And, both are going to be leaned on for the rest of the season. The defensive line, Gotta give it to A&M. That's a complete wrecking crew. I like their size and depth a little bit more, especially on the interior than the Tigers. They have a nice pass rush, but on the interior, they're not as polished, I'd say, as the Aggies. At linebacker, Zacoby McClain, he's probably one of the nation's top linebackers, so they're going to get the edge there. Chandler Wooten's also played very well. Also, he's a bigger guy. I think he's about 235 pounds. Impactful in the run for them. The Tigers have struggled a bit against the run recently, so we'll see how they can hold up against the Aggies, and those linebackers will be instrumental in doing so. At DB, Auburn, I just raved about how they're not giving up big plays whatsoever, and with who they're facing, it makes it even better for them. They have an edge in the secondary. A&M, though, they got their playmakers too, O'Neal, Damani Richardson, Tyreek Chappell's been playing very good football as a freshman. They got plenty of good players, but right now, Auburn, they have a big edge in this game, I think, in the secondary. Keys to the game and the prediction, for Auburn, Bo Nix, don't turn it over. Remain stout and press coverage on defense as well. Don't give those receivers opportunities to beat you downfield because that's not what they do. But it's college football. Anything can happen. You can get shocked any moment. If their weakness becomes a strength against you, that's going to be bad news bears for the Tigers. So get physical at the line of scrimmage of those receivers. And then, back to Nix. Can't give A&M free possessions in what's going to be a tight defensive ball game. For the Aggies, I need to see Calzada be willing, especially on third down. Play with confidence like he did against Alabama. Let that rep. You've seen against Arkansas. He was scared to throw the ball, really. He didn't make bad decisions to hurt them negatively, but he didn't make good ones either. He wasn't forcing it in the coverage, turning it over, nothing like that. He just wasn't letting it rip. Didn't put this football team in a very good position to win. That wasn't the case against Alabama. We need to see it again here against Auburn. Prediction, I'm taking Auburn 21-17. I think Derek Mason against Calzada, he's going to mix things up a bit, give him multiple different looks. It's going to confuse him a bit. I think Bo Nix will also play a good game on the other end. I think both teams are going to kind of struggle to run the ball. There will be big plays, though. Both teams are going to have their fair share of big plays, but overall it will be a defensive affair. I see the Tigers coming away with this one. They played a really good game last week against Ole Miss. They're going to carry that confidence over to Kyle Field, and I see them coming up with a 21-17 win. This is going to be a really good game, though. The winner of this, they will be in position to, take the SEC West away from Alabama potentially. The Aggies hold that tiebreaker. If Bama falls again, Auburn, they'll have their shot at the end of the year. So if they keep winning, this could be up for grabs here as we enter November. So this is a very important game. I'll take the Tigers, though. And that's going to be it for today. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and see you next time.